What's going on, people? How you doing? Hope you're having a good day. Today is going to be slightly different. I'm going to go through my current training goals, and kind of have a little bit more insight into what I do rather than just talking about hypertrophy and my principles. I'm going to kind of do that exercise by exercise. This is my warm-up, and what I'm trying to do here is a breathing drill, and I'm getting my axial skeleton aligned, and this will kind of help me with moving my rib cage in and out, moving my pelvis, and hopefully restoring some kind of good mobility overhead as the scapula moves along the rib cage. Your femurs move in and out of your pelvis, so you kind of want a full expansion and compression of both of those units of bones, the ribs and the pelvis. So that's why I'm doing this. I'm just kind of holding a really, I'll call it a neutral stack position, where my head is above my rib cage and my rib cage is above my pelvis. And then I'm kind of going into these yoga push-ups, or whatever you want to call them, and breathing in that top position. And here I'm again developing that overhead position by, I'm breathing when I'm there, I'm pausing in that top position, and I'm trying to move my rib cage to get me that good overhead. So this is all preparatory work before I go into my daily session. So I normally do some kind of breath work on that stacked position of the rib cage and head over the pelvis, and then I'll go into a bit more active stuff, kind of getting ready for the sessione. So for me, this is a great little drill. I got this from David Gray, and I got the first one from Pat Davidson, two like Goliaths in the industry. And then from there, I'm doing a little bit more shoulder work. So both of those first drills, your scapula and the muscles controlling your scapula are getting smoked because of the control, because of the breathing, because of those positions. So just doing this upside down kettlebell press with 8 kilos was brutal on my upper back, my mid back, because of all that work. So this is a great tri-set of 3 different exercises that I do for a warm-up before I go and hit an upper body day. So that's kind of the background on my warm-up. You're just seeing 1 round here. I normally do about 3, and then I'm raring to go. Rather than just jumping into an exercise and starting there and just doing light warm-up sets as a warm-up, I will tend to do some kind of stuff to improve my mobility through breathing and get good positions sorted without actually doing any drastic work. And then now I've got a big focus on weightlifting. I'm getting it back in the mixer after a big hypertrophy cycle. And what that kind of means is I'll start most of my days, 3 out of the 4 days I'm lifting weights, I will start with a Olympic lift. So today's the jerk. And these jerks are going so well. When I've just stepped away from weightlifting for a few months, almost a year. Probably is a year of actually doing it, programming it, etc., etc. And because I've built such a good base of strength during this hypertrophy period, as well as worked on my mobility through this breathing stuff, and just overall training through a full range of motion, my Olympic lifting has been fucking fantastic. I've been PBing the first couple sessions that I've done it. So I really recommend getting strong, getting mobile, and then going back into weightlifting, or doing it simultaneously. But a block of hypertrophy training for your weightlifting is fantastic. So good. So this was a PB jerk from the rack, and I mean, it moved very well. It doesn't look like a PB attempt. So each week I'm adding about 5 kilos to that bar on the jerks, and we'll see how we go. So I normally start with Olympic lift, and then I'll move into something like I'm doing now, some upper body hypertrophy, lat pull downs, working full range of motion. And I was bouldering on Sunday for about 3 hours, and this was the Monday, and my body was fucked. I was so fatigued, but I got in there, did the session anyway. Was not a optimal session. I PB'd the jerk and the pull down, but that's probably because they're quite new movements that I've just introduced to the new cycle, rather than because I'm actually getting stronger. So my lats were fucked when I was doing these lat pull downs. It was brutal. And main focus with the lat pull downs is this full range of motion touch the chest every single rep. As soon as you can't touch the chest, I stop. That's it. Game over, set over. Loading the weight up, quite heavy, 6 to 10 rep range. And my lat is on fire. My right lat was absolutely destroyed. I think mainly from bouldering. That's why I've got the straps on as well, because my forearms were smoked. They're actually still hurting. It's 2 days after this workout and 4 days now after climbing that I'm filming the audio clip. But yeah, 3 sets of that pull downs. I still try and progress, so like I'm adding in these sets, like on the volume spectrum that I was talking about. Start at about 2 sets per exercise per day. So it tends to be about 4 to 8 sets per body part per week. Initially, that's where I'm beginning my hypertrophy volume for me personally. And then I'll ramp it up, adding a set each week on a few exercises. I ramp up to about 15 to 20 sets by the end of week 4 for each body part, which can get pretty spicy. Dog's just walked in, there she is. But yeah, just to give you an insight, that's a great exercise. Try and keep your form as strict as possible, slow negatives, long range of motion. This was a part of the workout. I was just feeling genuinely fucked, like super fatigued, and this is a pretty up there weight for me, 36 kilos on the incline press. I think maybe 2 set of 6 and a set of 8. It's really hard for me to judge my reps in reserve on this day because I was so fatigued and I didn't want to like destroy my training for the rest of the time. So I've still got a emphasis on hypertrophy, but I'm just getting back into weightlifting as well because I've kind of developed a lot of muscle, and I want to kind of keep going down that journey and applying these principles that I've been learning, rather than just leaving the hypertrophy alone and focusing on weightlifting. I'm trying to balance both and a lot of bouldering. So that's kind of my challenge at the moment with my training, just managing the fatigue, and obviously a new job starting, so that's like kind of taking it away from me as well. So it wasn't the best session. Still hopefully some stimulus. Really happy with the jerks, and that's kind of the main thing. And then at least it was enough of a stimulus to maintain where I am with my upper body. And then I'll be hitting it again tomorrow, another upper session. And then hopefully I can get a better stimulus, at least for the pushing muscles, because I'll be bouldering again. So the bouldering is good for developing your back, obviously your forearms and your arms a lot, but still it's not that good for hypertrophy compared to in the gym lifts. It's nowhere near. You don't see any boulderers that, unless they're elite, that have insane backs, and that's probably because of the strength work they're doing to supplement their bouldering. Bouldering's good, but most of your time your arms are just long, and that kind of means you're not doing this full range of motion lat work that will develop really, really, really impressive back muscles. Again, unless you're doing it like multiple times a week, then you will of course develop a great back and a great upper body. Like bouldering is fantastic for that kind of stuff, but this was just brutal. Good doing these chest supported rows. Honestly, like not crazy weight, trying to be super controlled, but my back was destroyed. Like the muscles that control your scapula are smoked from bouldering, and this is quite a heavy like lower trap, mid trap, rhomboid exercise the way I do it. So I'm squeezing the shoulder blades, nice long reach, letting the scapulae roll around the rib cage. And then at this stage I was doing this chest press and I was literally like, oh, I gotta have to call this. I was so far away from the previous week numbers, and I'd just done a deload the week before. So this is when I said, look, Jacob, you need to manage your fatigue. You've put in some good work, hit some PBs, but mate, what are you trying to achieve here? You're just gonna get more fatigued and not cause a stimulus. So I stopped it there. And that's a call you can kind of make sometime in your own training. But I hope you enjoyed this video. and I hope you got some value from it. A bit different, but yeah. Have a good day. Goodbye.